Celebrating collaboration. That's the overarching theme of episode 165 of the Love in Lebanon podcast. On this installment, Kim Noonan from the Witham Family YMCA and Anita Bowen from Boone County Senior Services, Inc. join us. The two entities have partnered on several different events, including the recent Total Eclipse. They share what makes their relationship so special and how the two entities plan to continue to grow together. Episode 165 of the Love in Lebanon podcast starts now.
Welcome to the Love in Lebanon podcast, highlighting all the great things happening in Lebanon, Indiana. Have an idea for an episode? Send an email to loveinlebanon@lebanon.in.gov.
Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Love in Lebanon podcast. I'm Joe LePage, the City of Lebanon Communications Director. With me this time around, we're going to talk about a wide variety of topics, and for some reason, just cannot quit the touchy-feely kind of feels from the eclipse that was just a few weeks ago. I've got Kim Noonan. She's the Executive Director with the Witham Family YMCA. And I've got Anita Bowen. She's the Executive Director of BCSSI. Ladies, thanks for being here on the podcast.
You are very welcome.
Thank you for having us, Joe.
And are you guys kind of feeling the same thing that when you see the pictures, or does it kind of hit you in waves as, man, that eclipse thing was kind of cool? Still hit you guys a couple weeks after?
Yeah, it was so good. And we still have people talking about it in our offices. And I guess that it was so good, even better than what we could have ever planned for.
Yeah.
With a crowd that was so diverse and many of the folks who we didn't know and may never see again. But I think that the North End Eclipse Party left a good impression on them, and it was just a really special day.
And it keeps coming up with me that I don't know how it could have gone better. The weather turned out to be fantastic. We were checking it. Felt like every 5 minutes, how's that forecast looking? But it turned out that Lebanon was one of the best areas in the nation to see the eclipse. And was it something similar with you, Kim, that it's something you guys kind of bring up? And when I've gone into the Y, I've seen there's still shirts available, and it still brings back those memories of so many people wearing the North End Watch Party location shirts and things.
Yeah, it was an incredible experience. Not knowing, for months and months we've talked about the eclipse, and I had no idea. I don't think any of us really did of what to expect. None of us had seen a total eclipse before. And so just going into it was a little shaky, I think. But day of, like you said, beautiful weather. Everything was set up. We had a wonderful, wonderful group of volunteers, from both groups, and it was just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
And everybody, you may not know this, but BCSSI and the Witham Family YMCA are very closely in proximity related to each other, along with Witham Health Services. Can you guys talk about, we'll get to more of the eclipse in just a few minutes, but the way that you guys plan this event and plan several others throughout our community, you guys seem to work well together, your respective teams, and when you put your heads together, good things happen. What do you attribute to that success? How is that possible?
Well, we believe that where we're located in the county, we are a part of a really special campus out there. And I know that it's only going to continue to grow and expand. And when we look at what we do at BCSSI, Boone County Senior Services Incorporated, we don't do any exercise. And so our philosophy is, because many of our customers are customers of Witham Family YMCA as well as Witham Hospital, we send them there. And when we're thinking about programs that we can do together, we believe in the element of physical activity, but we don't want to duplicate what they're already doing. And so, for example, we host the BCSSI Olympics every summer at the end of August, and this will be our 9th year, and the Witham Family Y has been a partner in that since the inception, and they host several events at their location. We wouldn't consider doing it anywhere else. It really just makes sense for us to continue to have that partnership, grow that partnership, talk to our people about what else they might want to do, and then put our heads together and get it done.
We love the Olympics. Ever since I've been here going on 7 years, and met Anita probably right away in the first couple of weeks. And just that spirit of collaboration, that partnership, knowing that we do different things. but for that same group of folks, and love it, love everything that Senior Services does. We want to be a part of all of those things, but the Olympics is probably one of my favorite events in the summer. It's so fun to see them come. They have cheerleaders, they dress up, pom-poms, they cheer on pickleball tournament, the basketball shoot, water aerobics. And so it's a great partnership.
And it seems like there's a great collaborative transaction there. Anita, you talked about, athletically, you want to be able to collaborate with the Y and you lean on them for the programming. And Kim, it seems like you enjoy working with our area seniors and wanting to be able to provide a wonderful service for them. It seems like that is, you guys are both getting something out of it and both see the benefit in this partnership.
Absolutely. And I didn't know the depth of the things that they do over there. And I've learned just some incredible things. They have incredible volunteers, and definitely our folks, we send them over there for certain things as well. It's just a great partnership.
And it's one that Anita, you've been with BCSSI for a number of years, and it's something that you have helped foster in your tenure there and have enjoyed over the years?
Absolutely. The Olympics is a program that I brought to the county because it was so very special where I worked before. And we look at the Olympics as an avenue to bring together people sort of the decades, I call it, because the Olympics starts at age 60. And last year, we had our first 2 centenarians participate in the Olympics. So our first 2 100-year-old women competing in the Olympics.
Not just there, but actually taking part.
Well, Joe, you do know that euchre is an Indiana sport.
And it could be a full contact sport also in Indiana, right?
Actually, it is the only sport, and I use that because I know how very competitive it is, that we had to ask a team to leave the euchre event in a previous Olympics because not everybody plays euchre the same. And it just wasn't working out. It was getting a little bit heightened and it really was a little disruptive to the rest of the group. So we had a little conflict there and we had to remove a couple of players.
Have to get some bouncers.
I know. We talk about that. North Salem State Bank sponsors euchre, and we always joke about, bring your bouncers. We're going to need them for euchre. But so the Olympics is so diverse in that somebody who's age 60 does not want, need, or is going to experience it the same way as somebody who's 100. And we have people in there in all the decades. And I know that will only continue to grow because of that population living longer, because of all the things we're doing to help in that. Mm-hmm. So mentally, physically, socially, emotionally, we, BCSSI with YMCA, we're supporting that, and we're trying to make sure that they're aging well and that they're staying healthy and active in our community.
Kim, are you getting a mental picture too of the cutthroat euchre game and having the physical?
I am.
You may be, everybody listening may be getting that as well, like the tap on the shoulder of you're out of here.
You need to go home.
Moose and Rocco, help these folks.
Please don't
find
these
door.
people.
Everybody, we're chatting with Anita Bowen. She's the Executive Director of Boone County Senior Services Incorporated. And Kim Newnham, she is the Executive Director of the Witham Family YMCA. And Anita, you talked about kind of uniting the generations, and that played itself out fantastically well back to the Eclipse planning, because looking at the pictures and being there and visiting, it was just that true marriage of young people in the middle of their lives and then those towards the twilight years, all in the same kind of space, and it was wonderful to see just that commingling of the generations.
It was incredible. I think all of us kept walking around at the Y that day and just kind of taking it in, and it was really awesome that we didn't really have that much to do. We had done it all for months.
Yep.
You and other leaders here in the county had led us through that process for months, and then that day, everybody was so well behaved. People were just celebrating in their own way. Kids were playing, people were picnicking, some of them were dancing in front of the stage. Others were buying the merchandise. Some didn't come that close. There was so much nice space at the Y, so that some of them were way out.
Yeah, back in the trees.
Had their
blankets set out.
Because there was more shade. But it was just kind of like an awe moment for me where I was like, you know how special events are. Sometimes that day, you're just chasing your tail and going, what do we do next?
And you don't get those warm and fuzzies of being
Right.
able to take
To
in an
enjoy
event.
it.
It's just, you're just trying to plug holes in the dam, and that's pretty much it. But this was one of those where you felt like you could just kind of take it in and be a guest as well.
Another element to our day was we partner with Mental Health America and the YMCA and have a teen leaders club. And this is a free program that we offer to our middle school students. And they came out and they ran this whole Kids Zone area. So they were learning leadership and some skills there. They raised over $1,000 for the Boone County Cancer Society that day. And just watching that happen. And then you turn around and there's music playing and you see, a grandfather dancing with a grandchild. And it was just overwhelming and just very heartwarming.
And you guys did a great job with the musical acts as well, because you had the Journey and Jet Band, two young kids, adorable young people, and great musicians as well, doing things that were more so for the younger audience, but also the everyone got some enjoyment as well. But then you had, mainly for the seniors, you had your Elvis impersonator who got up there and did his thing as well. It was just one of those things that was really for everybody.
Yeah, Crown Point brought buses of seniors over and they sat and enjoyed the Elvis tribute. And so that was just, again, another incredible thing to watch.
And did you meet people we interviewed some folks and they were, from the Wisconsin area, Chicagoland area. We saw a bumper crop of visitors from that part of our nation. Other interesting relationships that you had during the course of the day, kind of putting you on the spot here, but any out-of-town visitors you had chats with?
We had a family show up at around 10 and our event didn't start till 11. So they pull up in this big old van and mom and dad, and I think they had like 5 or 6 kids and they were from Wisconsin. And they came down and they were the kindest, nicest people. Turned out they were cousins of our board chair, D. Hood, I'm going to say it right.
Yeah.
And it was just a really neat interaction. And so from that point on, I kind of kept going over and checking on them all day. And they just had a fantastic time. So.
And what did you guys think? Had you ever partaken of a total eclipse before?
No.
Had you ever?
No, never even thought of it, Joe. Actually, I was like, I'm not sure this is going to be that exciting, but whatever. We're going to do this.
Right.
And we all were all in and we did all the things to make it special. But really, the people that came made it special in a totally different way. And then the actual total eclipse was mind-blowing. And I think that people who do follow these knew that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yeah, we want to do this again. But then there were others of it who had, like myself, who had never considered. So to have that gift here in Lebanon that day and have it play out perfectly, I will remember it always. I had a chance to talk to a family from North Carolina who the woman had graduated from Lebanon High School decades ago. And she had decided that this would be a good opportunity to come back, see the eclipse, connect with some people that she still had a relationship with. And then she also was visiting the graves of her parents.
Gotcha.
And so it was very heartwarming to talk to folks, like Kim said, that really planned to come to Lebanon, Indiana for the total eclipse on April the 8th. And then if they had other things that they could do, because maybe they had a connection to Lebanon, they tied that in. But they really built it all around the eclipse. She said, I picked the eclipse over coming back for anything else. I didn't come back for a high school reunion. I came back for the eclipse. And then I was able to tie these other things in. And she had some mobility issues. We had so many volunteers, we were able to assist people who needed help getting around. We had Boone Area Transit System shuttling on that end of town to help people if they needed to park further away. So I think all the pieces that were planned ahead of time worked seamlessly. And then the people who came made it amazing. And they were just like these people that were perfectly behaved. Even the children, weren't they, Kim?
Yeah, everybody got along well. We had no issues.
Zero.
None.
And one of the things that we were talking about before we hit record, everybody, and Kim, you made a great point, that all the families kind of doing their own thing. There wasn't the extended screen time. There wasn't the Candy Crush or the binging of whatever. It was just kind of being and enjoying community.
Yeah, it was
and
very organic.
Yeah.
Like it used to be. back in the day.
What was it like though to be able to kind of take a pause on what life is currently and then go back to the way things were and being able to kind of see families actually talking, that's like
Right.
spoken word to each other and being able to interact with other kids without having to connect to Wi-Fi and things like that?
Yeah, it was very cool as you walked around. And again, we already said families were talking to each other and laughing and throwing the ball around and just those things we used to do, I feel like.
Worth the hype? This whole eclipse thing, was it worth it for those you guys hadn't seen it before? Was it oh my goodness, I can see why people.
Yeah, I think
100%.
everybody thought that. Yeah.
And the question now, will you be traveling? Will you be going? Will you be like those folks from the Chicagoland area or North Carolina or Wisconsin going? What is it? With the North Dakotas is the next one in
It's
40
way
years.
out west somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been there. And we also got the T-shirt, Joe. So we have extra T-shirts, by the way.
Yeah, there we go. It's a one and done.
Yeah,
you're good to
pretty
go.
much.
Saw it and enjoyed it, and that's great. And I love what you guys were saying too. The people, it was like a choose your own adventure. You could experience it around a whole bunch of people or by yourself. I mean, it was just one of those things where you could customize it for however you wanted. Everybody, we're talking with Anita Bowen. She's the executive director of BCSSI, and we're talking also with Kim Newnham. She's the executive director of the Witham Family YMCA. As we round the corner here, ladies, would love to kind of get your take on the rest of 2024. I mean, oh, by the way, this once-in-a-lifetime event has already happened, but this kind of, as the weather continues to improve, knock on wood, that more programming and things are going to be taking place throughout the course of the rest of the year. We talked about Olympics earlier in the podcast. That's coming up here before you know it. Are you in the throes of that planning phase and you guys are knee deep, elbow deep, waist deep in it?
Well, somewhere between the elbows and the waist, Joe. But we're doing great. We're very grateful for all of our sponsors, our venues, the hosts like the Witham Family YMCA, and we work closely with them to make sure that the events continue to evolve. They shouldn't stay the same. Anything that we do, we want to make sure that the participants are pleased. And if there's something that they want changed, we take that input into consideration each year. We also are seeing an increase in our other activities just with the weather improving, as you mentioned. And one of the things that we did last year, which we loved, we came over to the Y and did one of their low-impact aerobic classes with the fitness ball. And our Lunch and Learn crowd, we took them kind of on the road, and we didn't make them walk across the parking lot, although we could have. It's that close. But we took them over to the Y to Heather's, what do you call that class? Drumming.
Drumming class.
Okay.
So they use the fitness ball, and they do drumming to different songs. And it was one of the highlights for that Lunch and Learn group. I think that they had a good time. There were some of them who were in the class, and so they knew what to anticipate, but there were others who had never done it. And that's what we like to do. We like to just continue to expose our older adults to new things. And the Witham Family Y has a great program for older adults to participate in exercise. And it's always looking for ways they can make things reasonably priced if a person, make it affordable to them. And so we'll continue to look for ways that we can help our folks stay active. And I'm sure the Y is doing the same.
Well, now that you mentioned that, we raise money every year for scholarships and program subsidies. And we have an event coming up called Cyclothon. It is May 10th and May 11th, and it's just getting on bikes and riding. And even if you don't like spinning classes, which I do not like spinning classes, but it's a fun event. It's a 30-minute, 1-hour ride, depends on what you sign up for. And we raise money, again, for scholarships to give back to the community. So that's kind of one thing we've got coming up. We also have in July, Back to School Bash that we'll be hosting. We do this every year, and it is a great event. We get a couple hundred, maybe 300 people that show, and we give backpacks and school supplies to those who need those items. And we have Dairy Queen provides food and dilly bars and all that great stuff. So it's a great event coming up in July.
You had us at dilly bars, Kim.
That's right. Stop there.
Hot dogs and dilly bars.
Well, both of you kind of touched on also the growing senior population and the growth of our community as well. How pertinent and how kind of a hot button issue or a front of the iron, the biggest issue you guys are dealing with, the growth of our city and the growth of your respective populations. Is that something that's kind of present on your mind as well as you roll out these various programs, that you're also kind of looking as Lebanon continues to grow and our senior population continues to expand?
Absolutely. Boone County is actually a leading county for aging in place. So our older adults, typically, there's a good percentage of them that don't move away. They stay here. They're pleased with all the amenities, and their family, of course, is a big draw to that. But I think that BCSSI will quickly outgrow our space. And we do have a little bit of additional land to the north of our building that we anticipate, and I know Kim and I have talked about this for a few years, I think that campus is going to change. And with the growth in the county at that end, we need to be ever present and make sure that we're thinking about the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, someone who's age 60 needs something completely different, but we are going to see a lot of 100-year-olds in Boone County.
Mm-hmm.
We already have our torch captain has invited a man who's 100 to the Olympics this year. So I'm hoping that we'll have our first male, Joe, because, men don't typically live as longer as
women are tougher. I'm telling you, they live longer. They're built to
or
last.
we're hard on you guys or something.
Yeah.
Combination of both. That's for sure.
So I do think that it's a big part of our strategic plan, and we have just this year started a new 5-year strategic plan to continue to gather input from the community and from a variety of different segments about what we're going to need to do, what we're going to keep the same and what we're going to do different to help our community members age well. And that's really all of us. And we love the intergenerational programming, and that will always be an important element of who we are and what we do. So I think it's an exciting time to be here, and I'm sure Kim feels the same way.
Yeah, it's very exciting, a little scary, I think, too, to kind of sit back and think, wow, how will this impact our companies and kind of what we do. At the YMCA, we have started a task force, and we were grateful Mayor Gentry came out and kind of told us about the growth. We're looking at studying and what can the Y do to be prepared to make sure that we are meeting the needs of the community as it grows. That senior population, like we talked about, what is more things we could do? Do we need more space for those folks, as well as families? We know families are going to be moving in to Lebanon, and we want to make sure that we're providing services for this community to help this community become healthier and more equitable. So
it's one of those things where it kind of reminds me of the eclipse, to be honest, because you don't know how many people were going to be there, and you weren't sure how a lot of other variables you had no control over. Very similar here, where you don't know how many folks are going to be moving in or how many potential new clients to your respective campuses, but at the same time, kind of excited about that change and trying to plan accordingly.
Yep, absolutely.
All righty. Ladies, we appreciate you being here on the podcast, and thanks for your insight, your recapping, and your willingness to share everything here on the pod.
It was fun. Thank you, Joe.
yeah, thank you for having us.
And all the contact info, the social media, the websites, everybody, I'll put in the body of this podcast. You can stay up to date with what Anita's doing and also what Kim is doing throughout our community as well. We appreciate you listening to this episode of the Love in Lebanon podcast. More episodes are coming your way soon. Take care.